Okay. All right. I'd like to call this meeting for the St. James School District Foundation for today, May 19th. I'd like to take a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a transfer of funds to write a $600 check from the foundation account to pay Schultz Wood and Wrap PC for the tax preparation. Can I get a motion to adopt this, please? Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. See you guys. All right. Now I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, and we'd like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And as we do every meeting, we would like to share good things. Does anybody have anything they would like to say?
We've almost made it through the year. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Made it through a very challenging year, and I'd like to, note that the last couple of weeks we've had many events in our new auditorium, and our community is very happy with the finished product, and it's been a great thing for our kids here at the end of the school year. So, a lot of positivity there.
I'd like to commend Michelle Oxshire. Had a great year at Scholar Bowl. Was second in the state, so it was fantastic, and that was really cool. So. Coach Conway, on his way out, got a kid all the way, did very well, 28th in state in golf, so that was very good as well. So four-time champs, first time Four Rivers Conference champs for a long time. Yeah, it was a good year. That was back then. So. Anybody else have anything? All right. So on to, do we have any statements from patrons? None? Okay. All right, on to recognitions, and we have the Spark Award. Mrs. Lepper?
Nominated Sean Dankersmith for the Spark Award. He's the juvenile officer that works with our school. He has done a really amazing job this year helping us with mostly virtual students that are hard to get a hold of and hard to keep on track. And he's just partnered with St. James School since he's been a juvenile officer and done a really good job helping us track kids down, make sure that they're safe, getting them to school. He's been in court all day. I knew he wouldn't be here today, but he's a pretty good guy if you get a chance to meet him.
He definitely deserves recognition, and thank you for doing that, too.
So we do have a plaque for him, and so hopefully you could talk him into coming, Karen, and you guys can get a picture and get that to Chris Daniels. So.
All right, and Dr. Johnson, you're going to present the retirees?
Yes, so we'll go ahead and get started here. We have 7 people that are retiring, and just outstanding individuals who have given so much of their careers and themselves personally to this community and to this school district. So we're going to go ahead and start out just real quickly. Each of them, I had an opportunity, I think you can hear me better this way, had an opportunity to speak to them beforehand. One individual didn't want to come. She said she would rather not be acknowledged in front of a crowd, and so we acknowledged her one-on-one with a few people in her office. So it's Miss Kathy Alexander. She started part-time in the office and cafeterias, the office cafeteria staff, and in 1999 she became a full-time employee in the elementary office, and she's been awesome. And I'm sure Dan and Tracy and Larissa could speak more about her, but she just wanted the board to know that she appreciates the support over the years and the community, to support the community over the years. And she has enjoyed her time here and couldn't ask for anything more. So she's just an outstanding person. We're really going to miss Kathy. Tons of experience in that elementary office. So next we have, and I'll go ahead and just say a little bit, and then you can come up and we'll present you your award. So next we have Michelle Ogzer, and Michelle, she's in the back there. She is being accompanied by her mother, Joanne. And Michelle started in 1992, kindergarten, and had an unusual situation in kindergarten. It was half the day at the fellowship hall at the Methodist Church, and you had to ride a bus across Highway 68. So unique circumstances getting when she was first hired. Fourth grade Title I position, and then went to third grade for 12 years, and then middle school librarian, and then in 2011 became the high school librarian. And she noted that Miss Loretta Keeney was someone of great influence to her, and was also she was your fifth grade teacher, and then also she hired you for your first position. So a very special person. You also noted that Susan Ferrigno, Ferrigno, Italian name. Most influential teacher. I've heard a lot about her, so I'm sure she must have been an awesome lady. And proudest moments, positively influencing students and seeing them later as adults being successful and letting you know how much you made a difference. So that means a lot. And she's proud to say that she's from St. James. So Miss Michelle Ogzer. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. And I think Chris at the end, if he's here, we'll get a picture with everybody. So don't run off. So somebody's going to take a picture. So I'm going to get this out of the way so I don't do that again. We'll get a picture at the end. All right. Next we have Mr. Terry Bryan. Terry? I think most everybody knows Terry. Terry started in education, and you gave me this date, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. 1976 you started. 1976, and you got a job in Willard School District? Yes, Stillville, Willard, elementary PE, and then finally somewhere in the mid to late 80s, you show up here to St. James. You and Barb both came about the same time. You said Ron Fitch was the superintendent at the time, and he hired you? Yes. And so you were here, then you went to Owensville for a little while as a sped teacher, and then came back to St. James, taught history, psychology at the college level, psychology, counselor with Bob Smith, and you retired in 2008. But then we needed you back. So he's the Michael Jordan of the area. He unretired, and then he's going to retire again. And he's been out at Great Circle and has done an outstanding job as a process coordinator. And it's been a lifesaver, and we're going to really struggle without you. So it's going to be tough to replace you. So we're going to miss you.
You got some that's good.
Yes. And I think, Tim, did you have something?
I have a short story, but so no, it involved not really school time, but in basically around 9/11 time in 2001, Mr. Bryan and Mrs. Bryan were both teachers in our school district, and we had rough times as always. Well, I came home from college, and we met Mr. Bryan one night at the Wine Garden out at the Fall Festival. And a young man came through, and he goes, "You guys all need to pause for a moment because you need to be quiet for 9/11." So we sat there for a minute and we were paused. Then we continued our conversation, and this kid says, "I said you guys need to be quiet for a minute." And Mr. Bryan stood up and said, "Son, I'm a school teacher. We have been doing 9/11 now for at least a week." I said, "We feel bad for everything that's happened, but don't tell me what to do. I'm going to sit down and enjoy my beer." So,
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bryan, we appreciate you, and here's your second retirement gift. So. Right, next we have Mr. Coach Kevin Conway. And Kevin started at Rolla in 1993. He was there from 93 to 2000. Then he came to Lucy Wortham James Elementary in 2000 until now. So he's been in the business a long time as a PE teacher, and this last year he's been our virtual coordinator, which he's been outstanding, probably one of the best in the nation, I would say. Seriously, you've done an outstanding job. this guy took it so serious. We would come in and we chit chat about different things, fantasy golf or what the football game on Mondays after the Sunday games. But when he started doing this virtual coordinator job, I would come in and he's like, "No, I'm on the phone with a parent. Turn around and get out of here." So he took it very serious and he worked hard, very hard. He's been working hard this entire year. He's done an outstanding job. Takes great pride in everything that he does. Coached basketball, football, and golf. Served on numerous committees. He listed as an influence high school English teacher Bonnie Burton, and then also kindergarten teacher Miss Krutz, also your grandmother. Is that correct? Tim Wilson's grandmother. Also, first grade teacher Miss Manley are some of the teachers that made a big influence in your life. Coaching influences: Ed Coates, Tom Hayes, Richard Tillett, and Gary Kell. And accomplishments: started field day, started 5th grade versus the faculty basketball game, and then this year the golf conference championship, which was an awesome accomplishment, and coaching with your brother at the state level, which is something special. Learned the hard way. I got a little information. Learned the hard way to never ask a 5th grade girl why she needed to go to the bathroom so much. So, and he said favorite things, taking field trips, and he even filled in for Teresa one time. So, Kevin spent 35 years being either a student, teacher, and coach, 22 at St. James. And Kevin, everybody knows Kevin bleeds red and white. So we appreciate you, Coach Conway. Next, we have Miss Debbie Kemper. And Debbie, she's in the back there. And she is being accompanied by her husband, Rich. And she started in 1996 as a sub in the cafeteria. Worked at 1996, that's a long time ago. Worked in several positions over the years. Has been a school nutrition clerk since 2003. Presently, the head clerk. This is from Miss Webster, who thinks very highly of you. Is going to miss you greatly. Very dedicated and rarely misses days. That means a lot. You rarely miss days. You're always here. You live in Edgar Springs, so you commute every day, but you've always been loyal and you're always here. Your children, Ashley and Richie, both graduated from St. James, so you have great pride in the school district. And you've just been an essential part of the school nutrition department, and you will be missed. And you have agreed to help sub, right? A little bit, maybe next year. Have you done that? So Debbie is just a steady, awesome employee, and we're going to greatly miss her. So, Debbie, come on up. Next, he's not able to be here. Is Mr. Joe Stammers, and he's over at the baccalaureate. He apologized he couldn't be here, but he's doing his principal thing. Joe came here in 2015. He's done a great job as our principal. He's a great guy. A 1980 graduate of St. James. Total of 33 years in education. That's a lifetime of serving children. Coached football, basketball, track, and a lot of it at Owensville. He worked also at Boys and Girls Town here at the Great Circle before his Great Circle. He listed a gentleman by the name as Don Stoll, who is in charge of the Key Club here in St. James many years ago, as an influence for him. And he's going to be happily retired. He's already bought a home in Raymore, and they're enjoying the Kansas City life on the weekends. And so Joe is dedicated to education all these years, and we'll miss Joe. So I got his plaque and get that to him. And then lastly, the alphabetical order, and he's not here as well, but Phil West, and everybody knows Phil. Phil's a great guy, and I would say that many people would look at Phil because he was the athletic director, activities director for so long as the face of St. James. Everybody knows Phil, even if you're not from St. James. When I first came to St. James, I had 50 people say, "Do you know Phil? Have you met Phil West?" He is the face of this district, and he will be missed. But he came here in 1996. He's been here ever since. PE teacher, health teacher, head basketball coach, assistant football coach. assistant baseball coach, middle school basketball coach, and he's very proud to say that twice he was a cheerleading coach, cheerleading sponsor. I don't know the full story of that, but I'm sure, Tina, you could probably discuss that a little bit. Activities director, assistant principal, and then he was head principal for 1 year. And if you ask Phil, and he'll let you know, that was he said that was probably the best year in the history of St. James Schools, the year that he was the head principal. And he
Because of that senior class, that's why.
was it John Raps?
That was
Okay,
that
so
senior
it's
class.
John Raps. Okay,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about the greatest years ever, and he'll say, well, you know, that 1 year I was the head principal, that was the greatest year at St. James. So he listed as his influence, his greatest influence, his father, and then high school basketball coach Mark Fisher from Owensville. And his accomplishments, really, he just said, just proud of all the relationships that he's made with all of his students and the community over the years. And so he's a student-centered guy, and we definitely will miss Phil West. So Phil West is retiring. We'll get his stuff to him as well. So those of you who are here and being honored, we appreciate you, and what we would like to get a picture of you together. If somebody can be the official photographer, and we usually try to get you over here in front of the St. James School District. Sign. And bring your plaques. Yes, bring your plaques. Shannon, are you the official photographer? Yes. Okay. All right. Other jobs as assigned. She wears every hat. Now, hey, Tim, I dropped the ball. Carl always had a total years. He did the math, and he did the total years. So we did, yeah. I'd say like 300 years or something. Yeah, Carl. That's the one thing I forgot to do.
Hard decision to retire.
Well, we got, is that just three?
No, Debbie's come.
Oh, this is them, it's not me. All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right, we appreciate you guys. Enjoy your retirements. See you in a couple of years, Mr. Bryan, right?
That's so sad, but it's probably so true.
Terry, actually, I can get you a long-term setup here.
Like we say, you're always welcome to stay for the meeting.
Thank you all. We haven't done that in a few years. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye. All right, and we're on to presentations. So I believe we have representatives from Dake Wells and Branco here to give us some presentations. So take it away. And Archer, I'm sorry.
Whoever speaks, we have a mic, you don't have to stand there, but at least if you can hold the mic, we appreciate it.
Waiting on you.
Yep, you're up, Jeff.
Well, good evening. I'm Jeff Meadows with Archer Elgin. I didn't quite hear the introduction, so I don't know what if there were anything that you specifically wanted to address, but in your packet is a report from a couple days ago. It's very similar. It actually starts out the same as a report that you probably have previously seen in your packets from a couple days following the flooding event end of April. So at that point, we when Dake Wells notified us of the situation, we were out and did an inspection observation the next morning, and just did some visual observation of what some of the things, the construction and where some of the flooding came from and so forth. And we offered to continue to do some investigation and kind of forensic analysis of what occurred. So following that, we came out, did some surveying, identified some elevations in the system, And also, we're fortunate to get the city of St. James cooperation, and they brought out their sewer camera. So their camera has the capability of traveling up sewer pipes, in this case storm sewer pipes, and has a video camera on it so we can see what's going on up in the pipe itself. So that initial report was updated with those findings, and then also I handed out a map that was not attached to the PDF report that you received, but for reference purposes, I thought it'd be good for you to have it in your hand. I think we will be able to have it on the screen as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the findings, but in the sense of briefness, I thought I would jump to the solutions, to recommendations of fixes that we need to address. And again, I'd be happy to answer any questions up to the recommendations, which are found on the last page of the report. The first one was to fully connect all the downspouts to the collection piping. That has already occurred, so that's already been taken care of. The install the specified grate in the courtyard area. It was a 24-inch diameter grate that was installed. We called out for a 3-foot by 3-foot grate, obviously having much more capacity. And then the trough, little box culvert that goes underneath the existing floor slab, we'd identified, or actually Wes had identified, that there was a significant amount of construction debris of some sort that had plugged that entire, so it didn't allow very much, if any, flow through that system during the event. So those first three items were all included in the original report. Items 4 through 8 came along as a result of the subsequent inspections and the TV videoing that we were able to observe. First of all, in the main 12-inch storm pipe that exits the courtyard, that was the new construction, the camera identified some pretty good depth of white aggregate rock buildup in the flow line of that pipe, probably maybe a quarter of the depth of the pipe. And one thing when we talk about that, first of all, that debris needs to be removed to gain the full capacity of the pipe, but then that debris also didn't allow that camera to go any further up that pipe, so we'd recommend to go ahead and camera the rest of that. So the city has a sewer contractor in town that is a maintenance contractor doing some work on the collection system in town, and we had thought perhaps we could get a price from them to do that cleaning out and then go ahead and finish the camera work, because at this point we've only observed about 20% maybe of that 12-inch pipe. We identified that there was a crust section of that same 12-inch HDPE pipe on the outside as it exits the building and toward Hardy Street, so that will need to be repaired. And then to remediate the debris and the blockage in the box culvert under the building, of course, just in some fashion remove that debris to allow the full capacity, but then also Branco intends to install 3 6-inch pipes inside that trough, which will allow the difficulty without that would be the replacing that concrete cap and so forth. So we think that, and that will extend basically from, so that here's the courtyard, and the trough goes underneath the floor slab. There's a junction box in the maintenance shop, and then it continues out through 2 8-inch pipes out to this. So this is the area of and I believe the collapsed portion or the debris in that trough is somewhere in that location. So cleaning that out in some fashion and extending those 3 6-inch pipes throughout that area to carry the flow from the courtyard. And then in that same vicinity, this pipe here was called out to be an 8-inch pipe. It was installed as a 6-inch pipe to more closely meet that same capacity of the 8-inch. We recommend installing another 6-inch parallel to that pipe. That gives us about equivalent cross-sectional area. 2 6s are pretty equivalent to one 8-inch pipe. So with those 2 6s, we recommend to connect those with a fitting to 2 of the 3 newly placed 6-inch pipes through that trough. And for the third pipe, since we have some diminished capacity discussed in the report from some additional bends and different and shallower slope in this 12-inch line, we're proposing to take some of that roof load off of that 12-inch line and actually connect it to that third 6-inch pipe. And, so the original design was based upon a 100-year 5-minute storm, which is, it's above and beyond what the plumbing code would call for. The plumbing code would call for a 100-year 1-hour storm. The intensity of a 5-minute storm is a much greater magnitude, about 3 or 4 times that of a 1-hour storm. So because there was no outlet in this area beyond what we're constructing, we thought going for that more conservative storm would be the appropriate approach. The plumbing code calls for a smaller storm because in most cases, when on a gutter system, a roof drain system overflows or it plugs for whatever reason, then it just goes over the top of the gutters and falls into the yard and out to the street or whatever. In this case, there's no place else for it to go. So that's why we felt that the bigger storm would be more appropriate. And that, just kind of for comparison purposes, that was about 11.5 inches per hour over 5 minutes. So that's quite a downpour. With this solution, that gets us pretty close. It gets us somewhere in between 9.5 and 10.5 inches per hour, which is still quite significant. So I'd take any questions. Anything to add?
You guys good? Anything to add?
We'll get the work scheduled as soon as school's out. Brian's gonna do some investigation. Brian, I'm gonna have him hook up with you to get the sewer contractor's name, clean rocks out by, and then we're gonna try to prevent sawing up the floor by vacuuming out the rock that's in that trough, so we can poke the pipes in without cutting the floor. But we have to cut the floor, we cut the floor.
So I have a question for you guys. On red, Jeff, on this print shows where the actual lines are and not what was proposed. Why are they different? Where did the variation come from?
I'll let Brian answer that since he put them in.
Well, this box was already installed by the time the change order came out, and Harold said it was all right to leave it. Then on the other end, there were some trees there that are not shown on there, and the pipe was on right through the trees. And Wes had asked if it was possible to save the trees, as they were planted.
Yeah, Harold asked, and that was a tree that was actual, I don't know, I don't want to say it, but it was planted for someone who passed away here at the school. So it was a Bradford Fair, and it's, Brandon knows exactly where it's at. It's right out in that, somewhere.
It's right about here.
Yeah, that's where it is. So there's one tree that's there, we have asked to keep.
And also, who did the? I've also found out that the inlet box is also lower than the proposed elevation. Do you guys have an answer for that as well?
It's off 2 inches. We had elevations that, Archer, that I guess that doorway is the benchmark we went off of. But, I mean, you shot the different floors, they were off a couple inches, so.
Basically, he worked with what the elevations, we had to work around surrounding it. So, I mean, the elevation is what it is based off the existing school.
So, I mean, the box being 2 inches lower, I mean, in a 300-foot run, if that's what's causing it to back up, I'm not sure that being off 2 inches is
No,
the whole issue.
I didn't know the exact elevation change it was. I just knew it was lower.
What's our scheduled completion date?
What date did I give you? I can't even remember.
May 29th or 30th, or
Yeah,
very last of May.
it's the last of May, first of June, before we get in there, depending on if Brian can get his box and his grade.
Is reported for the
Well, I mean, I'm not just talking this, like, we're still not completed.
That's just
No, and that,
substantially
well,
completed.
that's part of this report is that we're going to go ahead and talk about the final project summary and substantial completion updates from Dick Wells and Branco.
Something else I'd like to also ask. So the work that's going to be done that's proposed now, who is going to inspect that? Who's going to make sure that we don't have to visit this situation again? Branco? Is that who's?
We can inspect it. I mean, we're not engineers. I'm sure Archer Elgin would be glad to come look at it while we're doing it. So,
Okay. So you guys are going to pay them to come inspect it?
yeah, I'm sure Brian.
Okay. That way, I mean, it's a very sad situation, the amount of work that's been done, and have to start over and do it again. I just want to make sure we don't have to revisit this ever again.
Okay, so we still have two items to discuss. The first one is the most recent change order, number 9, with the contingency monies being spent. Brandon and Dick Wells and Branco, I think, have information on that.
So I just put the
Microphone.
items that were on the change.
I mean, microphone. We get the microphone.
So the items that were on there was, some of them were from quite some time ago, just trying to get everything kind of cleaned up towards the end of the project. The first item on there was when they started taking all the windows and things out of the west side of the building, they took the old window frames out and the inside of the wall stuck past, like the old plaster stuck past. They had some kind of different frames in there. So we had two options. One of them was to cut the plaster back, and that was about twice the price it was just to put like a subframe around the windows. So the window installation contractor put subframes around the windows to make everything work. If not, you would have been able to see like the wall through the window because it just didn't come over far enough. So that was the first item on there. The next item was there was a wall. If you come straight out of the elevator, there was a wall there. And originally it was supposed to be like patched, and there was some tile on the bottom of it, some old clay tile brick stuff, and then there was some plaster on part of it. And we all done a walkthrough one day and agreed the best solution was probably just to put a brick wall there, make it match everything else. And we agreed on that when we done our OAC meeting walkthrough. So the bricklayer done that, and he's like, so if you want me to go ahead and do it, we'll just do it, and then basically do it like time and material. And so he done that and then sent us the bill for that. Next item is the flagpole. So there was one flagpole out there They took the flagpoles down initially because they made a road through there to go into the infill for the practice gym. When we went to put the flagpole back up, it had been sitting underneath the stairs over there, and nobody knows when or where or why, but there was a dent in it. And it was mentioned there was a dent in it, and our superintendent that was here said, we can just replace it if that's what you guys want. And they said, well, we don't like the dent, so we went ahead and replaced it. So we covered that one out of our contingency fund that we had. And then after we got that one up, Mr. Johnson went out there and he's like, that flagpole looks really bad next to that other one. One of them's new, one of them's old, and it's all tarnished looking. And he requested that we put matching flagpoles because it did look, one of them was 30 years old and the other one was brand new and shiny, so it made it look even worse. So we put a new flagpole up there. The next item is a digital setup for the elevator service. So when they were setting up the elevator for the emergency call number and all that, they'd asked Wes about wireless service. He asked them to go ahead and get it set up. So that's the charge for that. The next one is, I guess at the very beginning of the project when they were doing some discovery things, trying to locate an electric line. Bethany has a little more information on
I
that
can
than I
talk
do.
about that. When we first started, there were a lot of direct bury primary lines, and nobody was quite sure where they were and what they were running to. So we, Branco came out and did some potholes to make sure they were there before we designed a system around incorrect information. So that's a buzzword.
Next item number 6, was modify the junction boxes at the stage and add some wiring devices in the ductwork. So they had ducting coming down the one side of the stage over towards the closet, if you're looking at the stage on the left-hand side. And when the company came in to put the stage curtains up, the way their track ran, the duct was in the way. So we had to reroute the ducting, so they did some re-engineering and rerouted the ducting to eliminate that. And then there was a hole in the floor, and they moved some boxes over there and added some AV junction boxes and relocated some items for everything, all the AV stuff to tie together and work properly. Item 7 is some motorized window shades in the green room. Pretty bright in there, and they weren't shown on the original drawing to have shades in there, so they requested some shades to be motorized window shades to be put up in there. And those are actually ordered. I got an update earlier. They're supposed to be here next week sometime. As soon as they're there, they'll be installed. The electricians already ran all the wires and things. They just need hooked up and installed. Next item is damaged lavatory and some brackets. So the sinks that were originally installed, they're quite large. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're big porcelain sinks. And I think what has happened is some of the bigger kids were sitting on the sinks and leaning on them, and it cracked the porcelain along the back. Because I think that Wes had called us one day, and I was actually down here. He comes and goes, "Look, the sink in there's broke." So we went and looked at it. And when they walked in there to look at it, there was a kid actually kind of sitting on it then. So they ordered a replacement sink for that, and they also ordered brackets to be put underneath the edges of all of them, some metal brackets to help support them. They'll mount to the wall underneath the sink, and they're ordered as well. They should be in hopefully next week for the brackets. I don't remember when the sink was off the top of my head. Yeah, it had quite a lead time on the sink, but Wes and I discussed, and he's like, I guess we'll just wait until it comes in. The one that's on there, they've secured it, and it's fine for now. Then there's also the last item on here is the connections for the AV connections and the whips to install some added stage lighting and things that were added in the auditorium. So the electrician needed to, I think it was originally planned that the AV installer was going to hook them up, and just kind of a gap in who was doing what. So they were there and they had wires ran there, so they just had to make the final connection. And that's what the last items were.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Go ahead and stay up there because you got completion too. You're done with except for the audits that are on there.
So you have final project summary and substantial completion updates from Branco and Dick Wells.
So as of this time, everything is substantial complete except for, I know Brandon requested Archer Elgin to come do a walkthrough of all the site scope. So they're supposed to be coming to do that. I don't know if they gave you a date yet or not. So they're gonna come do that sometime. And then we had a few items on the punch list. I think they've all been resolved aside from the shades in the green room and the sinks. And I think we're gonna get a time set up to come down and do a final walkthrough and check everything. All those items have been rectified aside from there was some angles installed next to the windows where they couldn't reach it to caulk it. And somebody's gonna take care of that. He said he'd be done by the end of the week. He's gonna come remove all those and go ahead and caulk them and then see how they all look. But I believe those are the last outstanding items.
Yeah.
You have anything else?
There's a few little things and stuff. No, I talked to them earlier, and I guess whenever they get your signed off, that
Yep.
they're gonna come do their final walkthrough punch and whatever that, I don't know if you can explain what that is, but they're gonna leave it.
Could Dick Wells, could you update us on what's left for you to do?
Before you get down, why don't we save some time and footsteps to wait
Project until.
for right until he's
The plan is to start as soon as school's out.
Yeah, so once we get the punch list back with each item signed that it's been completed, we'll take that list and we'll do another walkthrough and make sure it's been completed. And if there are items that are outstanding that haven't been completed, we'll do another punch list and add those items and send it back to Branco. Oh, yeah, we have delivered large binders to Wes. It has all the maintenance data and warranty items in it. So Wes has that in his office. Yep, today, big boxes. And then also we have as-built drawings. So as Harold was working through the project, there's a big set of drawings that has all red lines of where things were actually run or minor changes. And that's also been delivered to us. Yep, that's the second box. Yep. Yep.
So we have the as-built now. Okay.
Yep, today.
Can we get it in the minutes where you're gonna store those binders?
Where the roof warranty was?
Like where the roof warranty is?
Yes. You're gonna be up in the ceiling grid, I think.
Big
They're all
e-
electronic as well, right?
I hope, yeah. John, you get to hold the little flash drive. We're gonna get a safety deposit box. How about that?
That would work.
Big old firebox. So, well, I will commend, and I think it may be our insurance as well as these guys, the day of the flood. I mean, it happened roughly around midnight, and I was here at 11:30, and people were on site ready to work to clean it up. So I'll commend all that were involved in that because it was a hell of a lot of water so that we had to deal with. So.
I'll also add, I know it's been a headache for everybody, but guys, I had the pleasure of being in that auditorium during a presentation, and unbelievable, just unreal, the acoustics and all the stuff you guys did. Very, very appreciative of the detailed work you did in there. So, thank you.
appreciate that. It was a good project. It had its challenges, but like I said, it was something that the school needed. You guys could be proud of for a long time to come.
Well, I know I was here the day they had their open house, and I don't know how many people told Merlin how, how nice they thought it was, and had like a kind of a university, big city vibe for a school for a small town. Everybody seemed to be pleased then.
The citizens, our patrons, our parents have been very pleased and positive and just really excited. It's a great thing for St. James.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Actually, Merlin
Yeah, I didn't realize that until after I signed.
We're calling performing arts Merlin.
Sure.
That's right. And Trout Park, Merlin. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you. Appreciate it.
All right, so one more presentation, PCB grant.
Okay, so Phil typically presents this certain amount of money that
I've been in charge of it since 2011, and it was going on before that.
So it's been, the principals get this, and they have a committee that goes over it, and they've divvied it out to those that they feel that will use it and do good things for kids. So appreciate Phelps County Bank for always supporting our school and for just doing great things for kids. So if you don't mind, send that message to everybody that has something to do with this.
We forward
Phelps
this
County.
out just to keep the board aware. I take this and I send it to our executive team, so that way they can see what is done with the funds.
Good.
Okay.
Yep, thanks PCB. That's very nice. All right, we're on to board member resignation. We received a letter from board member Barb Smith that she will be resigning effective immediately, basically. So, and we will need to look to getting a new board member on, and most of our policies state that we have to hold it open for 2 weeks before we can make a decision on this and see who is interested in applying. So, anything else?
So the
or-
board has, you can do anything you want to do as far as appointments. If you want to stay with, you set a precedent with how you handled it last time. So if you want to do it the same way, you can do that. And if you want to do something different down the road in future years, you can do something different. But this year, you might want to do something similar. So we're planning on, as of right now, to go ahead and put it in the paper like we did last time, 2 weeks. And then when we get the applications, we'll share those with the board, and you guys can decide how you want to move forward with it. So
And that's 2 weeks from today, is that right? Or is it from when you put it?
From publication, so it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday, so 2 weeks from now.
So can we just discuss this real quick?
Yes.
Can we just do it 30 minutes before the board meeting? We'll do interviews again and appoint?
depends on how many, though.
Okay, so, yeah.
If you have
We
10
might
people,
have
yeah,
to do an
yeah,
hour.
yeah.
Well, we weighted them down before. We didn't interview.
That's true.
Yeah.
We picked out.
It's completely up to the board how you want to handle it, time-wise, how many you want
I was
to
trying to say,
interview.
rather than a special meeting, I like that we kept it.
And you don't have to interview as well. You can just see who it is and make a selection. So it's
Not be anybody, so maybe.
might be
real
one
easy.
person. Yeah.
I say we wait to see where we're at with.
let's see.
Still want an extra night.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that.
I mean, I'll do, yeah.
Okay. We'll
Okay.
we'll put it out and we'll see what happens after the 2 weeks, and then we'll make a decision what we're gonna do without an extra night.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to accept Barb's resignation.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. And we want to thank Barb. She's had many years of service, not just as a teacher in our school district, but as a school board member, and her valuable insight as a former teacher has been invaluable to us. So we really, really thank her and wish her well and good health and all.
Yes.
So,
Blessings on health.
yeah. Okay, so discussion topics. We're talking about budget.
Yes, so this is budget season right now, and this year's a little better than where we were at this time last year, without knowing what kind of withholdings that the governor was going to have to give us. And we survived this year. Withholdings were given back, and so we also know that we have extra funds that we didn't know about that are coming in. The ESSER funds, but this is every year we come up with some assumptions. And we know that we've already discussed health insurance, that that's been approved. There's going to be an addition of $87,000 for that, and our 6% increase. Movements on the salary schedule, which hasn't been officially approved, but should be here in a little bit. Certificated, the STEP plus $1,000 for next year. Classified STEP plus 85 cents across the board, which is going to be about $300,000. SRO, at this time, we are not planning on adding to that. We're just going to leave it level at $40,000 is our commitment. That we did discuss potentially going, doubling and going with 2, but at this time, unless the board changes their mind, we're looking at just keeping it at 40,000, so there will be no adjustments there. The return of ISS teacher, we took the new salary of a new teacher was at $36,800. Addition of girls golf, it's a minimal amount, less than $2,000. And then we did eliminate a program there for next year. We're not going to have during the school year driver's education, which is going to be $10,000 savings. There's always some adjustments. So overall, total new expenditures $466,000. And then budget revenues, Susan and I have been working on that. Tim's been involved in the process. Been studying all the information from the state. Just the foundation formula, $130,000. Prop C, $136,000. Classroom trust fund that's the gambling money at $23,000, and local tax effort we're looking at about $175,000. Additional title allocations, we are losing some money there, not as bad as last year, and more miscellaneous adjustments, and we're looking at pretty close $366,000 with a deficit budget proposal. And always remember, I give numbers. I try to give the most conservative on both expenditures and revenues. So it always turned out, and since I've been here, being conservative, it's always worked out. But I always introduce a deficit budget, and we're going to introduce a deficit budget next month in June. So these are just assumptions. I did put some asterisks at the bottom there of that $2.5 million of ESSER 2, and then question marks there on ESSER 3. We know that that's going to be somewhere in a little bit over 5,000 or 500 or $5 million dollar range. So that's it on the budget assumptions.
All
Any
right.
questions? Okay.
All right, and then below there's some MSBA policy procedure and form updates. Go over.
So-
I mean, you can look at it.
Typical stuff. The MSBA gives this to every school to look at and consider. You have a whole month as board members to review. If you have any questions, contact us. If there's anything that you see that you don't think we should approve, then just let us know before next meeting, and we'll make sure that we'll note that, and we won't approve it. And if there's something you want changed, like we have something coming up in consent agenda, which has already been discussed, we can make policy updates at any time. So.
Okay. All right, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Not make a motion. How about accept the motion?
I'll make the motion.
There you go. Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. So on to action topics. So now we are going to approve the change order as mentioned above.
I'll make a motion, we accept the change order number 9 as presented.
And second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
So is some of that stuff not under warranty, like the broken sink, stuff like that?
Well, when we start using it, it becomes our problem. Yeah.
They still have a warranty.
Well, it's a judgment call. If it's because of poor quality or
They think a kid or something.
When a kid's
Yes.
sitting on the sink
Yeah.
as Branco walks in, that's a tough conversation.
yeah, that was a tough one to argue there.
Not gonna win that one. Any other discussion?
I also have another one.
Okay.
He said that they had to reroute their electric because the curtain was in the way.
Mhm.
Is that not designed a specific way to be in the way? Do we have to pay because their design was faulty?
So the design, that's always debated on the design. We fight that. There are times though, at the end we lose the argument because if the original design the proper design would have been created, we would have spent the money on whatever material we had to buy anyway. We've gotten some money back on some things that have been mistakes on design, like we had some fire doors, some original fire doors on those restrooms over there that it was design mistake. and they deducted that from one of their, Dake Wells did, from one of their bills. So we have fought on the back end on some things that hasn't shown up on these change orders.
Yeah, it's,
We lose a lot. School districts always lose.
And keep in mind, we signed off on it.
the fire door thing was a good thing though for us.
I'm playing catch up.
Yeah, no, you're good. All right, any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, now the ESCO selection. We had some nice presentations. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Last week?
1 week ago.
I don't remember. So, I tell you. But no, I applaud the people that were there. It was really a very informal night that we got a lot of information. So, do we need to have a recommendation for this?
So we had three ESCO groups that came in. Performance Services presented first, and then we had CTS presented, and then we had GRP Wegman presented final. So there's 3 ESCOs.
I'll entertain a motion to approve one. I got a second motion and a second.
We might not be able to hear that. 'Cause
Oh,
I move to approve GRP Wegman.
I'll second that.
all right. Any discussion? All right.
I really enjoyed their presentations. I really enjoyed their presentations. With what I think GRP Wegman came up with in a short amount of time from our RFQ, I thought they had a very put together presentation. They studied things about the school that we didn't even ask them to, and gave us that breakdown over, several years, places that need attention, and I feel like they'll get it done in a timely manner for us as well.
I agree. I really do. I thought they all 3 presented very well, but I think that this was the best choice of the 3.
So have we voted
And no
yet?
change
That's what I was gonna say.
orders.
Any other discussion?
No change orders.
No change orders. All right. All those in
That's
favor
it's in the
of
right-
approving
It's in their
GRP Wegman?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
So we will contact all the ESCOs first thing tomorrow morning or tonight, and let them know as soon as possible. We'll get with GRP Wegman and determine a date for them to present their project scope. I spoke to our attorney, and he's advised us to get with them, and then there will be a letter of intent that we will receive from them, and he will review that for us before the board would sign that. And we can decide all the scope, the financial obligation that we're going to commit to. We kind of have some numbers, what we're looking at, but we really want to focus on some of the roofs, obviously, which does qualify for ESSER expenditures, and then fresh air ventilation are 2 of the big things we're looking at. So,
Okay. All right. Moving on to superintendent's report.
okay, I'll be quick. The second regular session of the 101st General Assembly ended last week, and things are good. Full funding of the formula. We appreciate our legislators for fighting. There were some things that happened that weren't the best. As far as the tax credit voucher bill did pass, that's not a good thing for public schools. But some of the things that were held off were the open enrollment did not get through, the charter expansion didn't get through, and then school accreditation modifications didn't get through. So we've been looking at the budget. Obviously, I've already shared that, and we're in good shape, way better shape as far as a positive outlook as compared to this time last year. So as far as that goes, if you have any questions, I can get you information anytime. I did send you that. As far as the voucher bill, 2 weeks ago, last week, that was not a good moment for us to try to figure out how that's going to impact us. But right now, of course, we're a rural district, but right now, that is impacting city schools, 30,000 population or more, or first-class charter counties, which is in the cities. So right now, we can sit back and say maybe that's not going to get us. But it's something that it's not good because once it starts in the cities, it will start creeping out to the rural areas. And so it's not a good thing for public schools. But I think that we've proven a lot of people wrong, the anti-public school individuals. We provide some great services through this pandemic. And I think a lot of parents are appreciative of what public schools have been able to do this past year. So we have won as public schools over this past year. So legislative update overall was fairly positive. Moving on a little bit more to finance, and I had real quick, you can open up that ESSER funds. And is anybody controlling that there? Dan's on that?
Ryan.
Oh, Susan. Okay. So if you go to that first slide there, Susan. That COVID relief fund summary. If you see that very top one, elementary, the ESSER 1, that's $192 million the state was given. We got at St. James, we got $694,000 of that. And then if you move down there, the Missouri Student Connectivity is $20 million. We got $63,000 of that. The third one, Transportation Supplement, that was $15 million. We got $13,000 of that. And then the big one there is the fourth one down. We have a little, it's kind of red rectangle around it. That's $784 million to the state of Missouri. That's ESSER 2. That's 2.5. We're supposed to be getting that like today or tomorrow, so it should be happening anytime. The governor did sign that bill. Everything should be good. Moving on to that very last one, that's the ESSER 3. That's that $1.7 billion. And that question mark for us, we're right at that $5.5 million. So if you go on to the next one there, the things that that last line there, this is the summary of ESSER summary. Reservations, if you can see at the bottom, it says none for ESSER 1, none for ESSER 2, but the last one, ESSER 3, is 20% for learning loss and safe return plan. We're good on a safe return plan. We've already done it. The reason that's there is because a lot of schools in the cities didn't even get back. So they have to have an approved safe return plan. We've already got ours approved by DESE. So really the only thing we have to do is make sure we budget for 20% learning loss using ESSER 3 funds. So we have like 15 allowable uses, and you can just scan through there. There's nothing really that you need to hit. Just if you don't mind, stop at 12. But it's all over the place. Response to COVID-19, resources, professional development, meals, technology for online learning. Moving on to health services and supports, technology again. And then number 12 is a funny one. We all said other activities necessary to maintain LEA operations and services and employ existing LEA staff. That's basically everything. So then you move on to the next one. 13 is really a big one for us, is for what learning loss. That's that 20%, and that gives us some guidelines on what that 20% looks like for ESSER 3. And then you go down to 14 and 15 there, Susan. 14 and 15 is really pertaining to what we're able to do with this ESSER 2 funds with the facility repairs and improvements on 14. And then 15 is indoor air quality, you can see there, and then ventilation. So it hits all the things, the most important things that we're trying to do right now, especially just with what you did with going with the ESCO there. And then the last thing, the impact for St. James, and there's the dollar amounts of ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and then total approximate of what, at the end of the day, we're looking at $8.7 million when you put it all together. The ESSER 1's already been spent, and there's some great things that we can do, and school districts everywhere are looking for ways that the monies can be spent appropriately and what's best for kids. So got some big decisions ahead on that. So any questions? ESSER funds? Next topic, summer school masking plan. So at this time, we're going to finish the year with our masks, and it is getting hot, and people are getting tired of wearing them. But however, kids are not getting vaccinated, so that's a struggle right now. 12 and over, they are able to, but our elementary is not. But right now, we've decided, since we're so close to the school year, we're gonna go ahead and finish with masks, and but we're gonna try for summer school, no masks, and see how that works. If things start going in the wrong direction, we'll always just bring it back. So right now, finish the year with masks this school year, And then the day after school's out, we're going to go back to a choice for everybody and start the summer school with no masks. If people would like to wear a mask, they can, and we're going to try to we're going to make it make it a point that we're going to be very professional and respect people's choices. If people want to wear a mask, we're not going to ridicule them. If people don't wear a mask, we're not going to ridicule them. So it's going to be their choice. So be very professional about it. Any questions on the masking?
And this is all, and so we can talk a little bit about graduation, just so like they're aware that we're going to recommend it, but we're not enforcing it. Is that correct? Or?
Masks we're going to tell our graduates that masks, we want them to have masks, but obviously we're not going to make a big deal about it. So common sense, and we're not going to crowd control it. It's going to
numbers, nothing, we're just.
no, at the football field, we're at the football field, anyone wants to come to graduation can come to graduation. We were really nervous about the rain because if we were going to move it to the middle school, we were going to have to limit capacity, and that's going to be very unpopular. So glad that we're going to have. So we've even thought, it's kind of been, it never stops. It's always sprinkling, but we sit at a football game and get wet every once in a while. As long as there's not big bolts of lightning, we can have graduation in a little bit of rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, right, Tina?
Mm-hmm.
So the board stands when we were handing kids diplomas, are we wearing masks?
So what I asked the same question, and because I said if I shake a hand, I said I don't have a problem shaking someone's hand, but I would like them to put out their hand, like to acknowledge it, and I wasn't going to wear it because if they're taking pictures there.
I think we need to treat ourselves, administration and the board, just like I just said, we're going to respect each individual's decision. If you don't want to wear your mask, don't wear your mask. If you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. And that's where we're at right now. We're asking everybody, we'd like them to wear masks to finish this school year out, but we're going to respect people's decisions. If you want to make a stand as a board and do something together, this is kind of a tricky situation right now.
I worry about the kid who will walk up with a mask who is scared of COVID, and if they're standing, you know what I mean, breathing on them.
But that's everywhere they go.
I understand that.
Yeah.
If we were inside, I would say masks, but I mean, even the CDC has now lifted the mask mandate for outdoor activities.
I think outside changes things a little bit.
That's my changing on it.
I can say we are of a rural district. We're probably one of the last rural districts that are enforcing masks right now. I think it's a good thing. So, moving on, building level report, Mr. Webster.
Obviously, you guys can see on there the amazing things going on in the buildings. One of the two things I wanted to highlight, the good news just from a district standpoint, you can see this is the last set of Leading the Tiger Way winners for certified and classified staff. So just obviously congratulations to that group of people. We've opened up and closed voting for district-wide at this point, and we'll announce at the end of the school year who our Teacher of the Year and Staff Member of the Year are. Moving down kind of a little bit there, I attached a survey that we sent out to all virtual parents. 25-ish children or parents of those children have not responded to the survey, but you can kind of scroll down a little bit further and see the results. Obviously, planning ahead for next year and what are our best options. You can see there is still a good chunk of people that say they do not feel safe sending their children back to school. Within that, it's 55 responses, so you're talking a couple handful of families, but at the same time, we've got to find a way to educate those children. So virtual is not going away. I've said that all along. I think once you open that box, it's here to stay. Within the survey, and I didn't put those things on here, but we asked some questions, just what was your overall happiness with the experience that we were able to offer, and then I asked them to give us examples. Obviously, some were not kind, but at the end of the day, you just got to read that, move on, and try and get better at it. Overall, within our elementary overwhelmingly, people were happy with the Acellus program. I feel safe in saying, and I've been talking with Mr. Copeland, I feel safe in saying that that will be our option at the elementary next year. Middle and high school, it is not fair or reasonable for long-term, the plan that we currently had. That was obviously to get us through a year. We're currently looking at options moving forward to do. We don't have those options. We don't know yet. Obviously, that could change if COVID-21 appears or something, or this baby blows up again, and we have the numbers that we had at the beginning of the year virtual. Financially, we wouldn't be able to, do some of those other programs, but right now with the amount of families, because we've had so many come back already, so with the numbers we have here and the numbers that we project we'll have next year, financially we can afford to outsource a little bit. Obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantages, they are our students, but we lose a lot of control and being able to build relationships with those kids. But it's here. We'll be working on this summer what our best options are for middle and high school. Obviously, Miss Lepper and Joe's been communicating with what other area schools are doing, and Devin and I have been talking as well on what we think our best options will be. So I'm good if you guys are.
You mentioned it. How many kids do we still have virtual? Do you have it?
Yeah, it's 75-ish. Don't quote.
District-wide?
Yeah.
So
District-wide?
55 was a.
Yeah.
That's a fair number.
That's pretty good for a survey. So most of them responded, and I think this survey was very important to those 75 families, and that shows that's probably why they responded. So.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Moving on, financial report. The main thing I just want to remind you, if you look, things are skewed a lot with all these ESSER dollars coming in, but parentheses are good in the revenues. Just remember that. Parentheses are always good in the revenues. And so there's a lot of parentheses. There's a lot of money coming in that we normally wouldn't get, and that's a good thing. But overall, nothing major. If you have any questions, like always, call me before the meeting. I can get you answers to the financial report. Technology report. Josh Carroll prepared this, and just some nice updates, internet upgrade, elementary iPad charging carts, camera upgrades throughout the district, and then a lot of the work that they've been doing with construction. And these guys, we only have 3 guys, and they are outstanding. Our 3 technology guys are top of the line. We're glad to have them. And then they've done a lot of work with Avishare, the audio-visual company, in the auditorium, and they are being trained right now on the sound system and the lighting. And that includes Josh Cahill as well, who's in charge of the space for anyone that wants to use our facility for facility usage. So some great things going on with the technology department.
Yeah, the band concert, the jazz band concert, and the high school band concert, being in there with the lighting and everything, it was
so
extraordinary.
Awesome. So awesome.
Very good.
The lighting is just amazing
Yeah.
in there, and the sound quality is so great. The facilities report, Wes was going to report. He's always available to you guys, and I told him if you have any questions, just he's over. He wants to be part of his son is part of the senior class, and they are being honored right now. So I told him to go on over there, and if you guys have any questions on facilities, Wes is always open for you guys to ask questions. MSBA news. The big thing with them, they hit a few points. MAP testing is happening in school districts across the state. However, the state board did suspend the use of the assessments for accreditation or accountability purposes. But we're still there's a need for testing so that we can use that data to see where we're falling behind in school districts. And there's things what are we effective at? Where inequalities that we might have, and resources that we need to apply. Reading is steady. What we found out so far, reading is steady especially in our elementary schools, but we're falling behind in elementary math. And that's because parents in virtual learning, when we were closing our schools, parents feel comfortable working with their kids with reading. They'll read a book. They'll sit down and read a book. Most parents don't sit down and say, let's work out these math problems. And so that's where we're really falling behind in our elementary, and I think you guys are seeing that, not just at St. James, but everywhere. Math is a struggle. getting through this pandemic. That's where that the math recovery is going to come in with that 20%. As we think most schools are going to focus on a lot of math. We've already talked about ESSER, and they focus on ESSER, and then they also wanted to congratulate new board members, any new board members that were elected, and that remind them that they need to complete 18 and a half hours of training in the first 12 months of service, and it's free. MSBA has free essential training. Very, very important for the new members to receive the training as soon as possible. And one of the board members got on, if you take a chance to, if it's every month, the MSBA puts out a little video, but one of the board members from another school district came in and said it's an involved job, and you need to understand the job and your role. Everything you do must be guided on what is best for kids. And so just a big kudos and congratulations to those that are new board members, but definitely a reminder about the 18 and a half hours of training within the first year. The Igniting Great Ideas Summit, our delegate, John Rapp, will possibly be participating in that coming up real soon, June 18 and 19 in Springfield. MSBA annual conference is coming up in November, and everybody's encouraged to try to go to that. And then the Center for School Safety, Safe Schools and Colleges Forum is also at that same time in Kansas City. So that is it for my report. Any
Okay.
questions?
Make motion to adjourn the closed session.
Got a motion? Got a second? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, closed session.